Welcome to the Marysville School District Instructional Technology Training on Guiding Creativity. My name is Melissa Dilling. I'm an Instructional Technology TOSA, and I'm here to be your guide on this training journey today. Thank you for joining us. So here are our learning targets as we talk about guiding student creativity. We're going to look at the benefits of desktop publishing as a means to showcase learning and empower students. We're going to learn how to share desktop publishing tools with students and also see how students can create and share work with their school community. But before we do that, let's take a look at how empowering student learning is kind of at the heart of guiding their creativity as they take what we teach them and learn to apply it to new skills.
We know that it's important to move from compliance to student engagement, but what happens when we take it a step further and empower our students to own their learning? Well, here are 7 ideas. They fall in love with learning by finding joy in pursuing their passions and geeky interests. And in the process, they learn how to research and curate and communicate. They embrace a maker mindset as they walk through a design process and launch their work to the world. They develop iterative thinking, viewing mistakes as a chance to learn. And this leads to a shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. They become self-starters, exploring new frontiers, asking hard questions, and trying new things. They become problem solvers and systems thinkers, but they also challenge the system as hackers who think divergently and rewrite the rules. They become architects of their own learning, engaging in project management and collaboration. AJ Giuliani puts it this way: our job is not to prepare students for something. Our job is to help students prepare themselves for anything. In other words, when we empower our students, they are able to own their learning forever.
All right. And that's a really key tool here, is that we are trying to help students empower themselves. So whenever we're giving them tools and powerful medium to do that, we're helping them grow those other skills besides just the content standards we might be dealing with. So what I'd love for you to do is take just a moment and let's reflect on our own creative experiences to help shape us as we go forward and maybe develop some of those for students. So here's your question. What is your most memorable creative experience or project when you were in school? And if you could take just a moment to share that in the box and then submit your answer, and we'll move on to some additional learning. Most likely, if I had to guess, I would say that your creative experiences that you had a chance to reflect on involved some sort of hands-on experience. Maybe you were building something, you were coloring something, you were creating some sort of project or research. And 9 times out of 10, those projects may or may not have depended on your ability and access to resources. So when we think back, if I had to build something out of clay or color something with markers, if I had access to those items, then I maybe felt very successful. And some of our students, if we gave them those same projects today, may or may not be able to access the tools equally. And so today, as we go experience some tools that are kind of creative in nature, much like maybe some of these other projects, the tools that we're sharing with you are digital tools, which means that all students would have access. All students are going to be able to make beautiful, engaging projects that they're very proud of, that help them grow their mind and stretch their growth mindset. But it's very equitable because every student can join in the conversation. But we will be experiencing these tools like a student. So as I'm asking you to do things and pause the video, please make sure you do go ahead and try out what I'm asking you to do. And do consider along the way, what part of the learning experience would work for your own students? What obstacles do you think they might face implementing this? And I will have you share it at the end how this feels to be a learner. So since we all probably teach something different, kindergarten through 12th, regardless of what you teach, I'm going to give you the same learning objective so that we can all be on the same page. So let's pretend this is a learning activity in a classroom and you are my students. I want you to imagine if you could only take one vacation in the next 5 years. A very scary thought, I know, but you could only take one. And let's also say that your job is to convince someone to join you in this place. Now, that person can only also take one vacation in the next 5 years, so your job is to be extra persuasive. And I want you to think about what words, images, and colors might inspire them to choose your idea over all others. So, again, I just want you to think of a vacation spot. And then I want you to also think, how would I present this idea to someone else? Now, if my vacation spot is going to be Aruba, because I've always wanted to go there, but yours may be somewhere different in the world. All right. Now, this tool is that we're going to use to make this persuasive poster or infographic is going to be Canva. So Canva is a free tool available in education for students. You do get free access as a teacher as well to all their templates, all their tools, and it is an amazing product. So we're going to develop our persuasive skills through desktop publishing. And desktop publishing is just anything digitally that we're able to produce a product. And we're going to be creating an infographic. Now, we're going to need to go to canva.com and sign up. Once we sign up with our educator account, so our Google account, it will be quick and easy, and Canva will remember you with your Google sign-in. So this may take you just a minute to get signed up. But what you need to do is go ahead and pause the video and go to canva.com. And do make sure if it asks you if you are an educator that you definitely say I'm a K-12 teacher, because they will go ahead and send you an email to verify that, and then you will get this table right here. So this is what you see when I log in. It remembers me. You notice it says Melissa at K-12. I'm going to go ahead and sign out just so you can see what the homepage looks like for you, most likely if you've never been here before. So if I was you and you've never been to Canva, go ahead and say sign up. And you will want to sign up with Google. You'll notice for me, it's asking me which account here. I'm going to go ahead and say my Marysville account. You're going to do the same. For me, since I've been here before, it remembers me. For you, you're going to get just a few questions to answer. And you'll want to definitely say that you're a teacher, and then come on back to Canva. So let's pause, everyone make an account, and then join me back here, and we'll get in the weeds about how do I use Canva to make something amazing. All right, so before I give you a tour of Canva itself and we get into making those infographics, let me tell you a little bit more about what an infographic is. So Canva's gonna go through how infographics can be used in a classroom, and then we as students are gonna make one on our own. So let's just take a quick look. What is this infographic and how might it be applicable to my students?
With a large range of templates, it's easy to create infographics in any subject area. Try a data infographic for statistics or survey results, and timelines for biographies, historical periods, or project milestones. Process infographics for a writing process, skill, or design project. Use facts templates to simplify any concept. A comparison infographic for critical thinking, or eye-catching infographics to drive change on an important issue. Get students started with infographics by designing a template layout. Search for an education infographic template in the search. Let's use this process infographic. Customize the title and instructions to guide students. Are your students ready to design their own? Drive their creativity with a blank graphic organizer activity. They can select a template and customize elements with Canva's easy drag and drop editor.
All right, so you notice that it gave you some ideas, and you did see them editing an infographic. So that's one thing you as a teacher can do, is pre-edit an infographic. The last thing they showed you, though, was students using a template to create their own. So there's a variety of ways to use this, but we as students are going to go do what we saw last. So on the left-hand side, you see some directions. I'm going to read them real quick, and then I'm going to go and show you how to get into Canva. So when we first arrive, we're going to choose templates and then education infographic. Canva has amazing templates that are make all of our students feel successful just by editing what's already been created by an actual graphic designer. We can change all kinds of things like colors, add photos, and change the text, which is what you'll be doing. Now, I do want to just point out where this red arrow is pointing that Canva does have a toolbar across the top, and there are many ways to share. So we can share this using images, we can share this in Google Classroom, we can share a link, students can make you editors. So regardless of your age range you're working with, we can find a way for them to share this with you that works for you in your classroom. So I'm going to go back over to Canva now. And this is the screen that you'll see. And you notice that education infographics is usually the third one listed, especially if you sign up as an educator. It's kind of pre-selecting. Now, at some point today, I would love for you to jump into some of these other template options and see if it inspires you for other work with your kids. We're going to spend our time in education infographics. So when I click on education infographics, I'm going to get into the Canva editor. I'm going to give you just a quick tour. Then this is much like I would do with students because we don't want to overwhelm them with every button. We probably want to give them the buttons that they need, just enough so they can get started and get excited about this product. So the reason I see templates is because I'm in the template section, and because I chose education infographic, it shows up here, but I could always get back to templates by using that button. So you as a student are going to look through this and think, which one of these catches my attention? Which one of these would I like to edit what is already there and add my own special touches to make this about a vacation spot? And maybe it's promoting all the excellent details about him. So you're just going to scroll through. You can choose any that you want. Some have 2 pages, which is fine. We don't need 2 pages, but you can always delete pages you don't need. And I think I'm just going to go ahead. That one's probably a little too simple for my taste. I'll just go ahead and grab this infographic. Now it's asking you, would you like to apply both pages? You can click on whatever one you want, and notice it puts it on the page for me. So now I'm ready to get started editing. I have a nice layout, a color scheme that's excellent as well. So here's the buttons I would teach you, and then you're going to pause this video and spend maybe about 5 minutes seeing how much you can edit on this template that you've chosen. So this slider is real important to show students. This is how I zoom in and zoom out. And then I can use my trackpad to finger slide, or I do have a slide bar to look up and down. Now, again, the nice thing about Canva is it already has chosen text that looks visually appealing. So if I want to change the text, I simply click on it, double tap, and I write my own message. So for me, it's Aruba is amazing, right? And then I can click here, come visit with me and find your own paradise. You get the idea here, right? That I can be editing much like if I was a student and all I would do is click. So you're going to want to change some text. Now, the other thing that you can do is if I have images here and I like them, if you get a color slider here, I can change these to whichever colors I like so they better fit the feel of my object or my topic, whichever I like. Okay. I can also hit the delete or backspace button to get rid of an image I don't want if it's selected. And I can add my own photos. There's a huge photo library. So I'm just going to type beach. And I'm going to add this picture. And notice now I can drag and customize. Now, 3 things to know about images is that if I have a double arrow, when I click, this is moving. You notice my double arrow in the middle. If I want to resize, I always have students grab the corner. Then you don't distort a picture and make it squishy. And then I can place that picture wherever I see fit to help me with my advertising. Okay, so that is text. Again, and text can be moved around just like images as well. So text and then photos live here. Now, the final thing that you might want to do is work on some of the colors. Now, just like a picture can have the colors changed, this object here, notice anytime I get a box, I can change that color to kind of help with my theme. I can also change any background images. So if I click in the blank space. Maybe I don't love this sand color and I want something that's a little more beachy. Notice if I've added a picture, it's giving me the colors in those pictures. So I may want to choose one of those if I think that it is a better fit for my design. So all I want you to do is choose an educational template, edit just slightly so that it is matching your theme, work on text and pictures. Let's take 5 minutes and see what you can create in just 5 minutes. And then come on back here and tell us about how it went. All right, so you could see since you were last here, I've been working on some editing on my project here so that I feel a little more comfortable with the color scheme. I'm going to show you just a couple more buttons you might also want to show students, and then I'm just going to walk you through some sharing options. So your job is just to kind of watch. You can obviously pause and try these if you want, or you can just kind of absorb all the details. So students can make any template amazing, whether it's a brochure, a postcard, there's even video projects in here that students can do. So again, I highly recommend you explore all the template options and just see where your brain goes. But I showed you text, colors, and images, and that is enough to get some really amazing projects. However, there's a couple other tools, you may have found them. Number one is sometimes when I'm adding items, you notice that things go on top of each other. So one other button you'll want to show students once they start playing around is this word position. And position just means to layer objects. So if I click on an object and I click position, I get a bunch of options here that help me maybe line it up across something. I can center items, but more importantly, I can layer them. So the word to back, you notice it would move it down one layer. So think of all these things as different pieces of paper layered on top. If I know I want to go all the way to the back behind everything, it does give me that option. And more options appear as I move things around. So if I say backward, notice the blue went behind the text. And now these other options appear because if I wanted to move it forward, I could. So Canva is really smart that way. So that can be a nice button for students. If I want to line things up, let's say this is up here, I can hold down the Shift key and then click on multiple objects or items. So I can click on, and sometimes you have to move it around. You notice I'm struggling a little. Shift, shift. Okay. If I click on position and I want to make sure that they are both lined up on the top or on the bottom or in the middle, I have all these options. Watch what happens if I click top. It moved them, so now they're equal on the top, and then I can move them down while they're still connected and selected, and then I can move off. So that can be helpful for students. The other thing is here on the left is you do have other things under elements. So they have lines and shapes. They do just have clip art and graphics. And then there's video and audio that can be added. I do have an upload button, so if students have images saved from Google or they've recorded a video of themselves, they can easily grab it here and then slide it over. So you might notice some of these images here from some of our projects that we make in the tech department, but anything that I make, I can simply click on. I can add to the background there, or I can add it on top. So that's a really nice option. And then some objects can be animated as well. So if I click on an image, I have some ways to make it move. If I want some sort of interactive project, I can also click on items here and add links to external sources. So I can add links to web pages. I can add links to other YouTube video, for example. So sky's the limit. And if your students have time to explore, they will be very excited about this product. I also have a lot of backgrounds that are really thought through, kind of some patterns and some gradients. Students really like these because they're kind of formatted for backgrounds, and so they don't get extra blurry when you put them in. So they may want to think about some of those as well and play with that option. Now, let's say I want a student to turn in their amazing infographic to me that's all finished and complete. I'm going to show you just some basic ways to do that. And then I'm going to ask you to reflect at the end kind of how you see this working in your classroom and any ideas that have come to mind after thinking about this. So the easiest way to share, especially for kind of our maybe upper elementary students, even middle school, is they can simply say share and type your email address. For our younger students, you could raise your hand and come type it for you. And once they've shared it with you, it will show up on your homepage with all of your projects. So you can just see them in one place. So that can be a nice, easy way to get in. Of course, you can have students download. They have the option to download pictures, which is fine. If you have any links, though, or videos, you may want to download them as PDFs, or even videos or GIFs, if that will allow the things to still keep moving if students have made any moving objects on them. But more often than not, students are just sharing a picture of what they made and maybe pulling it into Google Classroom, or wherever you may have them turn it in. Maybe you'll have them email it to you if you don't have a Google Classroom or a Canvas page. Some other options here under these three dots. So notice this does connect to Google Classroom. So you as a teacher could maybe make a template, and instead of typing here, you could write things like add title, and then they could click and add their own ideas. And then instead of typing something here, you could add something like add details. So if you want to give them some directions on the page, then when you share it to Google Classroom, you simply would choose your Google Classroom, link up to it, and make it an assignment. And then when students load that assignment, they're editing the template and turning it in right through Google Classroom. So that's really nice that they added that feature. That's new. The other thing is that you notice there's lots of things on here. Some of them are actually hiding under this, all the ways it can be shared. You can have them share it directly to their Google Drive if you'd like. It does link to social media, which of course would be blocked here at school. But let's say you even have students that are maybe designing their own web page. Canva does give you embed code. So this code right here, it would create this page if they copy and paste it. So that's maybe for our high school students. Of course, kindergarten's not going to probably need an embed code. But there is one other option that they just added. It's beta tested right now. You can turn anything into a website. So I just started typing website. And when I click website, and I say open, this is kind of like when you publish a Google Doc or you publish a Google slideshow. Notice I didn't quite finish my infographic, but now I have a web page here. And that web page could be shared in Google Classroom or Canvas. And me as the teacher, when I click on it, it doesn't even take me to Canva. It's opening it like an embedded page. So one thing, caution on this is live. So you'll want to tell students only publishing appropriate things, and then you'll want to check all of them and make sure that you feel comfortable. If it were me, I would probably, if I was going to do web pages, I would require students to share with me first so I could see them all. And then I could edit anything that I needed to. So Canva is an amazing tool. And what I'd love for you to do now is just reflect on your thoughts about using this. Hopefully you actually took some time to practice. And then I would like you to come into templates and spend just a few minutes exploring some of the other options that are available. You don't have to just look at the education ones. You could look at all the presentation options available for students. But please jump into some, click around, and then take a moment to reflect in the box. What do you think about Canva? How do you see you might use it with your students? And then we'll move on to our next tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and pretend we're going to do a different assignment with our students. What if that same vacation destination that you're interested in, what if a family needed more information on that place? How could you develop a collection of visually appealing resources? Think about videos, links to website, images that could help them understand this location better. In order to do this, we're going to actually be using Cami. So Cami isn't just for signing documents. Cami can be used as a desktop publishing tool. So I'm going to show you a couple things, and I'm going to ask you to stop and go work on some of those on your own and see what that might be like as a student. So I'm going to click on camiapp.com. You might have a K in the top corner. If you have Cami as an extension, you could click that as well, or just camiapp.com and then sign in with Google. In Marysville School District, we do pay for licenses. So you should be able to get right in, no problem, and it will recognize that you are a teacher on a teacher account. And my internet's a little slow, so you notice it might spin. Yours might spin as well. So welcome to Cami. It does have a new layout for some of us. Some of you will just have this blue still. It looks like over time We're starting to get this trending resources in the Learn page. So if you don't yet have that, those should start showing up soon. So these might be places you could look for beginner courses or the toolbar, or if you want to set up Cami with students, please feel free to look there. But Cami can integrate with Google Classroom. So if you wanted to connect something you make to Google Classroom, you probably want to start with this button here. If you would want to open something and then make changes to it before sharing it with students, you would open from your Google Drive or your computer. But for the sake of just making available places for students to do desktop publishing, we can click on New Page. Now, at any time, if you want to pause this and go ahead and try that, that's fine. I'm going to just keep going, but feel free to pause and see if you can't follow these steps along here. Now, first step for you as a teacher is you would want to change the name. Leave the .pdf. PDF is just what it will be when it's done. I've glued together pictures and words. I would probably call it vacation, because then if I share this with students, they will automatically get something with that on it. Now, before we look at the tools here, if I wanted students to do their own desktop publishing, so a design on this, I may name it and have a blank document. And then I might even use the share button over here before I put anything on here. And the reason I would do that is then when students open it, they get a blank page, but it already has the correct name so that it'd be easier for me to see based on the file naming system. But just like Google Classroom, when I hit that share link, I can say create an individual copy. And that means that anytime anyone clicks on this link, they get a brand new copy. So here's a link right here. This can be added to Clever if you're using if you're working with younger students, or it can be copy and pasted right into Google Classroom. It can be copy and pasted as a button or a link if you use something like Google Sites, or making your own website. So if this were me, I would copy that and let students open. As a student, if I came into design, really the desktop publishing tools that are going to make this designable are going to be my text box. I try to have students choose their size and color before they start, but even if you forget, once you click, notice I get some more buttons up here where I can then have more control over the font. So if I was going to, let's say, do Aruba again, I could change the color if I didn't like what I chose. And I do have a voice typing. So if you have students who typing a lot of information would be difficult, if you speak, it will type for you. But maybe I want to just say Aruba is the best. And again, when I get the double arrow, that's how I move. Okay. So text is easy as before. The T is a universal text sign, so you might want to try that. Students can use the drawing tool, especially if you have some artistic students and they don't mind using it. For our younger students that have touchscreen, so K1, 2, they could draw with their finger as well. So they could be drawing here if they wanted. Excellent. They do have shapes. Pretty simple, but they do have some. But what I really like is this Add Media button. This allows me to put pictures and videos into my document, and I can kind of track my learning a little bit. So these are from my computer, from Google Drive. Students mostly use image search. So let's say I need a palm tree, because I want to talk about maybe the palm tree forests that are there. And I click on an image. Once I hit select, it's going to be attached to my mouse. So you'll want to have students practice that if you're wanting to use this for publishing. You have to click to stick and pull the corners to resize. So that's just images. And of course, if I need to move it, I can. But what I really think this is useful for is, let's say students want to have some videos on here to talk about something they've learned. They can go out to YouTube. And this might be for my older students who maybe already curated some resources somewhere. But maybe scuba diving is something that I want to make sure people would know about. The only thing you want to think about is for Cami is short videos. So 3 to 4 minutes are the most helpful in Cami, so that they can load. Otherwise, it takes a really long time if it's a long video. So once you watch a video, and you're happy with it, my apologies, the internet here where I'm recording is a little slow. They would just need to copy. You can do that with a 2-finger tap and say copy. And then I could head back to Cami and I paste right here, 2-finger tap. And then the little green arrow will load. And that was a 4-minute video, so it might take just a second there to load. Loading, 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 loading. Here it comes, here it comes. I'm going to reload and see if that helps. There we go. And hit next. Just like a picture, a video is stuck to my mouse. Click to stick, and just like a picture, I can resize. All right. And notice sometimes you get the spinning wheel. That just means it's continuing to load in Cami. So your job is to push pause. I would like you to go to camiapp.com and practice adding text, images, and media, and then come on back here and we'll work on some other tools that might be interesting if you're making resources or digital documents using Cami. So we'll see you real soon. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a quick look around at some other ways we can make these documents interactive for students and kind of guide their creativity, and also so you can get into their thinking, which I think sometimes is more important than the design. So Cami does have a few other tools. You can pause if you want to try them, or you can just watch and be thinking about how these might work in your classroom. So the first one I really like is this comment tool. Students can leave you a text comment. So when they click on the bubble, they can click next to an item and just give some justification. If they'd like to give a color to that particular dot, they can. And here I can say, it is a must visit, and maybe you want them to give 3 details. You could decide how you wanted to integrate maybe some writing or some explaining into this assignment. I really also like the voice comment because this allows the same thing, but we take out the worry about grammar, spelling, or punctuation, so that we're really just assessing their knowledge and not necessarily assessing maybe their writing abilities. So it's great for accessibility of some of our students with some additional needs. So if I click on the voice comment, remember, don't click on an item itself, click next to it. It will start recording right away. So make sure you tell your students. Hello, this represents the palm tree forest. These create acres and acres on Aruba. It's a must visit when you go. And then they can hit stop. And you could then push play and listen to their voice. The last tool that I love under comment is video comment. The video will start right away, as just like the voice comment. So just make sure you alert them to that. But this allows you to see their voice, and they just think it's quite fun. So I'll click next to here. Scuba diving is a major source of income on Aruba, and tourists love to see the variety of fish available in this area. Notice I just was recording and I hit done. Even our youngest students would be able to do this. A video appears, and when I hit play, scuba diving is a major source of income on Aruba. And there's me being silly about that. But you could see that students can do a simple design and then add a lot of voice into it. So again, lots of possibilities, maybe a little less tools, but for some application that would be good. Maybe Canva has some uses, and then Cami does as well. So just a reminder that if you want to share, if you want to have students share this with you, there's a couple of ways they can do it. If they click share, they would want to make sure that the setting was on viewer, because when they're opening it, they're not opening something you've started for them. They're not opening a template. You want to be a viewer. So they could share this copy link in Google Classroom. They could email it to you. You could have them post it somewhere. So that's one way for them to share. Also at the beginning, we talked about how you could set something up as a Google Classroom assignment right from the homepage and start it that way. You could have them download it as a PDF right to their computer and then attach that in Google Classroom if you thought that was easier. But the other thing to remember is that Cami is making a folder for your students every time they're saving. So they have a Cami folder. Another thing we talked about with like kindergarten, first, second, third grade, as Cami is saving, you could maybe visit students at kind of a non-work time. Maybe there's some free time on the computer and navigate to their Google Drive. You don't have to have students who are 5 do this. You could do it for them. Older students could. And if they two-finger tap on their trackpad, there's a share button here. And they can share this whole folder with you. So you have access to it from your computer. So you would just type in your name and then you become a co-owner of their Cami uploads folder. So that would be great. Then when you came to your folder, you would go to shared with me and you would see all kinds of things that are shared with you. But this is an example here of a Cami folder that has been shared. And when I click into it, I can see the assignments that are in there. So I can grade them at a later point in time. The other thing that is kind of nice about this shared with me is that I can view this as a list. And if I view it, I just hit this button here up here to see a different view. You notice that when I'm looking at things that are shared with me, they have a little person on them, but it also says who the owner is next to it. So this particular assignment is this Miss Moore, and we were doing this as a demo. But you would see the same thing for your students. So you would know which folder you were in. That's a way to have younger students not turn in a Cami assignment, but you can still view it. And that just takes a few minutes, maybe one day a week to pop in and make yourself a co-sharer on their folder. So again, I love Cami. I think it's a great application for some publishing options. So if you'd like to go around and play with some of those tools, and then come back and we're going to look at one last tool and be done with our training. But you might want to try the comment feature. You might want to look at some of the share settings, or you could even pop into your Google Drive and see if you have that Cami uploads folder and see if things are saving in there. So go play with Cami for a few more minutes and then come on back and we'll finish up our training real quick here. As promised, we're going to look at one more tool you have available as part of your Marysville School District Toolkit. We're going to talk a little bit about Lucid and their available products, most specifically Lucid Press, which is a desktop publishing tool. So Lucid created some educational options for you to use in your class. They're all free and paid for up through the end of the year. We do all have licenses for teachers and students. So we have 3 products, Lucid Spark, which is an advanced whiteboarding tool, Lucid Chart, which is a lot of templates for like Venn diagrams and kind of some group brainstorming, a little bit farther past just a whiteboard technique, but the ability to use some drawings and shapes to kind of map out processes. So great for brainstorming and organization. Lucid Press is their desktop publishing tool. Looks very similar to like what you would use in industry if you were a graphic designer, but this can be great for students who've maybe practiced a lot in Canva, or you just want something different to show them. So to get there, you just need to go to lucid.app. So I'm going to click there. You can type that into your web browser, or if you're on any Google product, so your mail, your calendar, maybe in your Google Drive, you'll see these 9 gray dots. We call this the Waffle. And if you click on the Waffle, you see the available products that we have to use. These are not always in the same order because you can move them around by picking them up. So you may need to scroll around a little, but you should have Lucid Press as one of the items in your Waffle. And if you open it from here, it should auto log you in. The first time you arrive, you might need to sign in with Google, but you do have an active account once you sign in. So for Lucid, since they have several products, you'll notice these icons that appear for those different products I mentioned are here, so you kind of know which you're opening. But the best thing to do if you want to explore a little, and again, I'll leave this optional because this is probably better for upper elementary and secondary, just because it's pretty text heavy and less icon based. Let's go ahead and click new. That's how we get a new item. And each of our Lucid products has 2 choices when you do that. I can do a blank document or I can create from a template. And they do have brochures and infographics, much like Canva, a little less kid-friendly, but that doesn't mean they're any less effective with students. They're just not quite as colorful, but I think really great for some uses. I love to just use their blank document creator. And whenever you open something in Lucid here, they love to give you a little inspirational quote while it's loading. And then you'll notice, much like Canva, you have very similar tools down the side here. So anytime you click on something, you'll get some additional options. In fact, it looks almost identical to Canva. One thing I want to point out is that if students wanted to add images, they could look in their folder. You notice I'm in my folder. These are things I've found before on other times I have been to Lucid, but it uses a Bing search instead of a Google search. So I just want to tell students what Bing is in case they don't know. But once they've searched up items, they click and drag just like they do in Canva, and they can move around. Now you do have a few more options for the image and the layout itself. So these, if you want to play around and open some of those up or let students do it, that's even more fun. They can kind of see what some of these other options do. Again, very similar to Canva, just more bells and whistles. They do have the ability to add things like tables though, so this can be great if they want some sort of explanation or they're charting data of some kind. And they can put that right on the page and then have the ability to stretch, move, and even write in it. I did go over our text tool here, but they give you some tools to get started, and then all the text tools appear at the top. Just like Cami and Canva for that matter, I do have the ability to add videos. You will see some social media here, but if it's blocked in the district, it would be blocked for students through here. So, but they could still do like YouTube videos if they wanted to add some interactive media. So it does look very similar to kind of our Google products, where I also have drop-down windows at the top. So students who are using Google Docs or Google Slides would probably be familiar with those kind of tabs. Much like our other products, there's lots of ways for students to share what they make with you. So they can use this button to download a file, and they can choose a PDF or an image file. They can simply share it with you, either through an email message, or it does generate a link. They turn it on, and they can simply copy and paste that link into a Google Classroom or Canvas, wherever you're having students turn items in. So that's kind of a really nice feature. The other thing this has also has published to the web. I would always require kids to share things with you first through email. So you're kind of a co-collaborator if you were going to make them turn something into a web page that they created. But that's a great way to have students feel like there's a real audience for their product. Here's a Google Classroom symbol, so it does connect right to Google Classroom if you were creating some sort of project and then you wanted to share it with students to complete. So we just want you to know this is here. Take some time, play around with it. Maybe let your students play around with it, even just a blank page, and just see what they create. You can always give us some feedback how you feel about Lucid as compared to Cami or Canva. And then that helps us know kind of what works best for you in your classroom. So as we continue to think about just ways to be creative, just a couple more things to think about. But right here, one of your last questions I would love to know is either which of these tools did you find easy, or one that you think might be confusing for students? Or is there something new and exciting as it relates to your work? Maybe you're inspired by a project you might want to try. Or just how did you feel as a student learner? Did this look like kind of a fun way to showcase your learning? How is this different than maybe other things you maybe do in your classroom? So if you could take a moment and share your thoughts, and then join us back here, go ahead and submit your answer, and we'll get some final thoughts and then get you out of here. All right, so thanks again for joining us on looking at these desktop publishing tools that might inspire your students, new ways to showcase their learning. Please make sure you fill out the attendance form and the evaluation form that you'll find in the content box that will appear. This is how you'll receive clock hours for all of the courses, and please make sure you do fill out both of them. For other training opportunities, make sure you visit our MSD Instructional Technology pages. But as always, hope you have a great day, and exciting new things are on their way to students. Thanks for coming and learning more.